Shemai everyone, it's JonnyVR here with my review of Chapter 5 of Doctor Who Flux titled Survivors of the Flux. And we have a whole lot to talk about after this week's episode, so stay tuned. The first part of this review will be spoiler free, and then I'll be talking about more of the details in the episode in the second part of the video. So if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to switch off before then, but come back at the end of the video where I give my review and score of the episode. Be sure to check out my other Doctor Who videos on this channel, including my Doctor Who Day livestream I do with my friend Dan on the 23rd of November, and my review of the third volume of the Ninth Doctor Adventures from Big Finish. But yeah, I better get started because there was a whole load in that episode to go through. Now, as for the spoiler-free part of the review, right, it's packed. There's a lot of stuff in this episode. It does remind me a lot of the first chapter in the way that it sets up its storylines. Lots of things going on at once. I like some of them more than others. But it does a good enough job of connecting everything, okay? So you can see sort of the journey coming to an end now, and it ends with a massive cliffhanger, right? Like in scale, a massive cliffhanger in scale. However, I do feel like a few of the story arcs are a little tiny bit rushed, right? Because there's been a few, there's been big build up, right? What I appreciate is that we do get some answers here, right? We get some answers, which is a good thing because otherwise the finale would have been all answers, right? We do get some answers. We sort of start to understand a few of things about what's going on. So there's some quite big reveals, right, that will have implications for the end of the Chris Chibnall era, probably. But a few important pieces of information do feel like they're rushed a little bit, with their explanations. Literally, when they give some explanations, the dialogue is spoken very fast so that it's quite easy to miss. Or, for me, I was thinking, okay, they just revealed that and that was it, before they move on with the story. Now, I cannot say this episode was not entertaining. It has been entertaining, and it sets up a big finale next week. I would definitely say from episode 1 to episode 5 of Flux has been so far so good. Can it stick the landing is the question. Can it stick the landing without being too much information explained too quickly? Can it give us a good finale and a good end to Flux? That's the question for next week. So stay tuned for next week where I get to do all this again and discuss this with you. But yeah, okay. There's a lot of good moments in this episode. Great music to accompany that. There's some good costume designs, especially for some of the companions. The companions do get a really good show in this time. So does Jodie. There's some good confrontations with her. And it's surprising because sort of in this episode and throughout the series, it's sort of like the Doctor is best when she's just the Doctor, It's like, and the companions are almost as the best when they're just the companions, It sort of goes against the previous series where you've had Doctors with companions throughout the story, throughout the episodes. But yeah, visually, it looks impressive from various big shots that they do. Some good special effects. There's just so much story. It's sort of everything gets explained to a point here, right? And it sort of all comes together for the cliffhanger, which needs to be resolved next week. I think it's just the information explained too quickly that bothers me. People who will watch this episode will know that it features the return of Unit. This aspect I liked it a lot, and it is exciting. For those of you who were upset about Unit not being around, they have a good showing in this episode, and it looks hopeful, right? That's all I'm going to say. Same with other things, right? Everything from the last series as well, series 12 in particular, everything is in the air now. Everything's on the table but by the end of this cliffhanger, which is really exciting. And I can't really go into any more details. Overall, the episode is exciting. It's big in scale. There's lots going on. Stories are continued. But some of the information I think is passed too quickly, or I think should have been given a little bit more effect. Like we've waited like episodes and episodes for the information, the answers, and sometimes it did just go through a little bit quick for me. But yeah, that's all I can say without going into spoilers. So watch the episode, come back for the spoiler-free part of the review, and if you haven't seen it, this is your spoiler warning, and check back at the end for my score and overall review. So, loads going on in this episode, right? I'm going to talk about a few storylines, okay? First of all, Unit, okay? Unit is back, and I really liked this storyline. I think this one was a really cool storyline because we got to see the formation of Unit, and we got to see Unit through the years. And all because the Grand Serpent, who in this episode becomes a much better villain than he was in the previous flashback episode. So I'm really happy about that. He's really cool. We get to see Uniform, and we get to see how he's like using the flux, or like how time is going on crazy, to integrate himself into Unit throughout the years, building himself into a powerful position until he comes up against Kate. And Kate's having none of it. Kate's too smart for this. Kate's too smart to know when a house has been trapped with an explosive. She knows this stuff. And yet the companions don't know how to blink one at a time in the previous episode. You know, that's what's confusing me about the series. But Kate, is good to see her back. And this whole storyline, right? Kate's going dark in 2017, right before the episode Resolution, right, where Christopher Nolan said that Unit has been closed. So this is a good thing, right? Anyone who is thinking, why did they just shut out Unit completely? Here's your answer. It was because of the Flux has rewritten history, right? And this is a good thing because it means that there's potential for the Grand Serpent to be defeated and for Kate to come back and bring Unit to back where it was. So something that he changed that was really irritating for some of the fans, it's pretty much been justified now and can be rewritten, which is a good thing going forward. In my opinion, and it means that when they shut down Unit years and years ago, now we get to see why that was. So, you know, Unit is back, or I'm assuming they will be back once Kate comes back. Osgood got a mention as well, so they're all around. Fingers crossed, right? They can have a triumphant return in the next episode, like in full. Other storylines. The companion storyline is very interesting, right? So they've been in the decade 3 years after being sent back to 1901. The year is now 1904, and they're on a mission to find something significant about the Flux, right? So they go around to Mexico to find a pot that apparently has the date of the massive event, which, you know, of course, is next Sunday, which is the next episode, the 5th of December. And they go to Constantinople to get the pot translated. They go to where else have I written here? Nepal, China, all to get back to, and they even go to Liverpool as well, right? Because they figure out about Williamson. And this is one of those scenarios where I think that the information is passed too quickly, right? So Williamson appears on a boat when they're traveling the world. John Bishop recognizes him from the vision that he saw in episode 3. And they go off to Liverpool to investigate the tunnels, which is where, presumably that storyline is heading. Now, it's all very well and good. I like the companions travel. Just dropped my notes. The companions sort of traveling through the world. It's a good enough story, right? And it's visually impressive. You get to see a lot of scenery, which is, I think, even more impressive considering it was all filmed in COVID times. But it gets to a point, like, they have some good stuff. There's great music there. There's a great Indiana Jones sequence where they travel in the world. It's good to see John Bishop get frustrated, as he throws his maps down and everything. And even to have Jericho, who was also great in this episode, and John Bishop grow beards because it's been that long. But then when they eventually get to Liverpool, it's like, oh, there's Williamson. And then there's this chamber, and he's like, there's all these doors that go to different places, different worlds, different universes, perhaps. Who knows? But it's all sort of very quickly, right? Because by the time that happens, the episode is almost finished. So it's all a bit confusing still, and it sort of feels a little bit rushed. But it just does it just in time for them to set up the finale, which is Earth under attack from the Centauran fleet. And the Centaurans burst through these doors into 1904 England in the tunnels. And, that's it. That's the cliffhanger from that perspective. Earth under attack. The Lupari ship is breached. Carvanista brings back Bell to fix the breach because she's in a Lupari ship. Then Carvanista and Bell meet. The ship is being boarded by a Centauran. So it's like the Centaurans invading present day and the past. So it's an interesting way to bring them back to the story. I did say it was open for them to come back after War of the Centaurans, despite the apparent explosion. They are back. It's interesting how they joined with UNIT, right? The Grand Serpent, in 2021 now, has reached some sort of treaty with the Centaurans or alliance for them to invade Earth. So the Centaurans come through sort of first, right? And then that's pretty much it. And then not only that, they have other enemies coming up, like Daleks and Cybermen, which again shows this going to be this massive episode next week. How are they going to fit all this in? But it's really it's interesting that they chose the Centaurans to be this the first through, if that makes sense. I feel like maybe it would have been a better idea to have the Daleks come back or the Cybermen in those ships, because I don't think anybody would be expecting that sort of as a finale. But yeah, that's sort of the Earth in danger part of the story. Other part of the story is the Doctor's story. So the Doctor turning into a weeping angel is actually like a transport mechanism, right? So she comes back out of the angel statue fairly easy, and then she has to be sort of brought up to date by this woman who, I was correct again, turns out to be Tecteun, although I think probably most people would have got that. And that is Division. She finds herself in Division, which, despite being everywhere, is currently apparently just Tecteun, who's apparently the leader. Tecteun has an Ood as well, who's doing all various bits and bobs around the Division. I still can't get over the Ood eyes though. I thought for a second they weren't blinking at all. I think only when the Doctor starts talking to the Ood, begging it to show her what the Flux is, that it starts to blink. I thought, oh my gosh, did they really make an Ood that doesn't blink? But anyway, this again is another moment where I think the answers came too fast, right? Because we were talking about we want to know what the Flux is, what's caused the Flux, especially since in the previous episodes, this woman, Tecteun, said that, the Flux is because of you, Doctor. And then all of a sudden, in one sentence, it was that's why we created the Flux and blah, and then it was gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, that seemed like an important bit of information there. But anyway, the story continues. They have all of the Doctor's memories in a fob watch again. There's some great confrontation, right, between Tecteun and the Doctor. It's great to see Jodie's Doctor a bit darker, a bit more angry, and Tecteun as this sort of villainous, manipulative woman. She gets some great dialogue. It's a great confrontation scene, right? And then there's this sort of choice where the Doctor can leave the universe behind and go to the next one, or she can save Earth to get her memories back. It's all... Everything's in the air. Everything's on the table still. And it's a good cliffhanger, right? And they sort of start giving us the answers in this episode. Otherwise, it would be crazy information overload in the next episode. So we'll have to wait and see, even though if it was a bit quick, the answers in this episode. Interesting, though, about this story arc is the fact that they confirmed multiple universes. Universe 1 and then the next universe. This is probably the indication that Chris Chibnall can rewrite the Timeless Child story. He can revert back by having some sort of different universe from which the other Doctors came from, maybe, you know. Like, this is if he's gonna rewrite it, if he's gonna retcon the Timeless Child, this is his moment. This is how he's gonna do it, probably, presumably. So it's definitely worth watching next week to see if he does it, because like, this is the thing, he already has changed the unit story now. After getting rid of them in the first place, he's brought them back, like, in a very I think good storytelling way, like that it was over the years this Grand Serpent came back through unit, and has now overtaken it, and Kate's gone offline. It will be really interesting to see what they do for the next video, next episode, and then maybe he'll retcon it next week, and then going into the final 3 specials, she'll be a Time Lord again. Who knows? But yeah, the other thing is that Swarm and Azure also, they do take a little bit of a back seat, right? Since Once Upon Time, since episode 3, they do take quite a bit of a back seat, right? So they show the passengers of the prisons, they captured people in them, and then in the last episode they just show them capturing more people, and in this episode they just show what they're doing with these people, and they're using them to power. It's all a little bit vague, and then they're apparently using that to get to this division base, which is between universes, and then he just wipes out Tecteun, so it leaves the choice of all down to the Doctor in the end of the day. If she wants to have the memories back, whatever the universe, whatever universe gets destroyed, it's all going to come down to the Doctor. Although Swarm is like apparently going to kill the Doctor again. That was in the cliffhanger. So it was interesting, right, how in the last 2 episodes, well, this episode and the last episode, Swarm and Azure were sort of in the back foot, and then at the end of the episode they come back and wipe out Tecteun and they're threatening to kill the Doctor. So it'll be interesting to see like how much of a threat they are in the finale, because there's going to be so many villains in the finale, so much story to tell. It's either going to be a long episode or, who knows. But anyway, yeah. Anything else I can say about that? I think overall, it's so far so good. Can it stick the landing is the question. Can it stick the landing? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think overall, I like the story. I like the build up to the finale. I can't wait for the finale. Is that going to be the end of the Flux storyline? Possibly, and it'll be fresh going into the specials. I think this episode is overall very exciting. Lots of good story arcs, particularly units. And then, can it stick the landing? That's the thing. It's 1 episode left. Let me know what you think anyway. Overall, I think just because it gives some of the information a teeny tiny bit fast for my liking, I'm going to give it a 7. But, everything's on the table for next week. You gotta just stay tuned. So yeah, that's all I got time for. So leave a comment down below. I'll be reacting to these comments and responding in the light of the episode. Let me know what you think. Is he gonna do it in the next episode? Who knows? Yeah, be sure to click like and subscribe for my review of the finale next week. Stay tuned for other Doctor Who videos as well, and check out our gaming channel, youtube.com/skybotgaming, for Let's Plays of the recent Doctor Who games. So yeah, with all that said and done, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!